What's going on, guys? Dynasty back at it again with another Mortal Kombat 11 video, and yes, we are back discussing some Mortal Kombat because Ed Boon, about, I want to say, 6 to 7 days ago, recently got interviewed by the guys over at GameSpot.com, where they talked everything Mortal Kombat 11, for instance. Ed Boon discusses if indeed this is the end of Liu Kang's, I guess you can say, story arc that's been going on since Mortal Kombat 9. Guest characters are talked about. Also, if indeed we'll ever see another studios do something else other than the usual fighting games. You know, Shaolin Monks 2. That could always happen. So this is a jam-packed interview. I'll just be covering some key things of note. I highly suggest checking it out, linked down below. With that said, though, let's have some fun, let's break this stuff down, and let's get into it. So first things first, Ed Boon is asked about Liu Kang's journey. Is it done? Is this the definitive end of everything we've seen since 2011?
The story that we've told, you know, which I guess you can summarize as Liu Kang's journey in a sense, in my head is done. You know, and we're not going to be expanding, you know, like, oh, and then this happened, and then we reset again, and you know, like it's we really feel like that's the end of that timeline.
That's the end of that timeline, and I mean, it's only fitting. We see Liu Kang finally, you know, reach his full potential here and save the universe like he usually does. Still crazy to think, though, that this is probably the end of Liu Kang's story. So who knows they have in store for us for Mortal Kombat 12. I'm guessing they could always just continue the timeline if they really wanted to, and maybe MK12 really is about Fire God Liu Kang, but it's just not focused on Fire God Liu Kang. Maybe Liu Kang becomes that supporting character, and the key characters, like a combat kid, like Takeda or Cassie, I don't know, but the way it sounds, based on what was said in this interview, is that MK12, we really don't know what to expect. We really don't. So, yes, the story of Liu Kang is finished, and seemingly the MK 2011 reboot story might also be finished. So, take that for what you will. MK12, we honestly have no clue where this story is going. Making our way to the next section of this interview, Ed Boon is asked if the studio thinks about ever just doing something else other than the typical fighting game every 2 years process we've seen going on since 2011, almost a decade now. And this is the response he had to that question right here.
The exact words of your question, when you say, do you think about it? Absolutely, absolutely. We're thinking about it all the time. We've had, you know, like you said, we've had a couple of, like Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was a really good example of it. The process of making it happen has been a little bit more challenging. You know, we're really just one studio, and we did a game called Injustice, and that did well, and then we did a sequel that did even better, and so unfortunately, we can't do, you know, all the things that we want to do at the same time. And so there are a lot of logistics that have to be worked out, a lot of, you know, details. There's timing, there's a million things that are involved on top of, do we want to do it?
It really does suck how it kind of comes down to the fact that they just might not have enough manpower at that studio to have a team creating a AAA fighting game like a Mortal Kombat 11 and a Shaolin Monks 2, and it sucks, especially when you got a, you know, publisher that, I mean, WB, they know every time NetherRealm releases a fighting game every 2 years, it's breaking records, it's outselling the last one. The method has worked for a decade, and seemingly there's been no change, because if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. They've been profitable. And it sucks because at that expense, we've not gotten our spin-off games like Shaolin Monks, what have you. So, of course, WB is selling their games division. I am hoping that whoever this gets sold to, cross my fingers for Microsoft, that they figure out a way to not only give us Mortal Kombat every other year, but a side Mortal Kombat game. I would love to see more Mortal Kombat in my life, and not necessarily it being just always your typical fighting game. I think there's so much lore and potential with the franchise as a whole. I hate that we haven't seen a spin-off in so long. So it's cool to know they think about it, but it just comes down to like logistics, manpower, and probably just the fact that WB says, hey, I know you want to make that Shaolin Monks 2, but MK11, that's guaranteed to make some sales. And what sucks too about WB potentially selling the rights to their games division is the fact that what I was really excited for is a few months ago, John Tobias was, I guess he tweeted out he was working at WB San Diego, a new studio they're putting together or something like that. So I was hoping that that meant that maybe John Tobias being back in the WB fold, maybe if we got lucky, they could trust him with a spin-off Mortal Kombat game. I'm trying my best to be optimistic here, but I'm losing hope on Shaolin Monks 2. I really am. But anyways, on to the next topic. Ed Boon discusses DLC characters, more particularly guest characters in Mortal Kombat games right here.
We're scratching that same itch for us that you were when you were a kid, you know, taking a RoboCop figure and a Terminator figure.
Yeah.
You know, we did it with Predator, Alien, you know, Jason, RoboCop, Terminator. It is literally that. It is literally, we are a bunch of people who grew up watching 80s and 90s, 2000s action movies and thought to ourselves, wouldn't it be cool to see RoboCop fighting Terminator? You know, like, it's no more complex than that.
Safe to say Mortal Kombat 12 bound to have like 20 guest characters because the studio's fans of the process. So yeah, there you have it. Ed Boon also discusses the process of selecting certain characters that can and can't make the roster. Really interesting to hear him talk about this right here.
If you count, there's probably about 80, there's probably more now, Mortal Kombat characters that we've released in various versions. Some are staples to Mortal Kombat: Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden, Liu Kang. Some are not as frequently seen: Fujin, Stryker, Shiva, and not that we don't love them as much, but we always have to have Scorpion and Sub-Zero in a Mortal Kombat game. And because of that, it's almost like a revolving door. You know, everybody gets their chance in the sun, and then maybe we give somebody a break, and then when they come back, players are that much more happier to see them.
Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang, Raiden, safe to say they will be in Mortal Kombat games until Mortal Kombat 59 gets released, which is cool. Definitely cool. But yeah, really cool how every time this question gets asked, there's always consistency with the answers. Ed Boon has, discussed this, and it does come down to the fact that there are fan favorites, like the blockbuster characters, like your Scorpions, like your Sub-Zeros. But indeed, to keep characters fresh, every once in a while, the revolving door, put a new character in, take one out. Baraka, Reptile, Mileena, it happens. But when they come back, they look fresh. People are happy, and, revolving door I don't think is really a bad idea. I think it's good that these characters do take rest, and I kind of stand with their whole, their process of this, because if they didn't do things like this, every Mortal Kombat game would just be filled with the exact same roster, and there's no fun in that. So at least we know just because a fan favorite might be gone for this game does not necessarily mean they won't come back in the next, which is what we've seen so far, and it's crazy because Boon's like, of course, you gotta have your Sub-Zero, your Scorpions. Boon, you guys released MK3 without Scorpion. I'm still very curious. Can you imagine that? MK12, no Sub-Zero, no Scorpion? I'm telling you, riots in the streets. But guys, that is pretty much all I got for y'all today. Really just wanted to cover those things right there. This is like a 10-minute plus interview, so it's jam-packed with a bunch of Mortal Kombat, not just like what I showed you in this video. So I highly suggest you check it out. Of course, it'll be linked again in the description. And speaking of what else is in the description, a link to purchase MK9 on G2A. Yes, in case you've missed it. I guess that Warner Brothers does not want to pay for the rights to have Freddy Krueger anymore licensed. So because of that, that's why MK9 got removed from Steam. However, you can still purchase a Steam key for MK9 through G2A. You redeem that code on your Steam account, and like that, you can still play MK9 on your Steam account, just gotta kind of do a workaround through G2A. So yeah, if you're interested, link down below, it's super cheap. But anyways, guys, all I got for y'all today. If you enjoyed, take a second to put a like on it. Of course, Subscribe for more MK content here on the channel. Until next time, been your host, Boon Dynasty. Guys, please take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Wash your hands. Peace.
You see, I've been a fan of Dynasty for years now. GTA, MK, and Justice, I'm still down. Rapper meets gamer, I wonder how y'all feel now. That was just a setup, watch it get real now. Okay, so me and Sub-Zero was born in 92, and lyrically I inherited all his fighting moves. A lot of y'all still lost, don't have the slightest clue. The truth disappears in the smoke as if you fighting new.